Hello, my beautiful light beings. Welcome back to the Magic Exists podcast with Dani Margot. This is a podcast for anyone on their personal development or spiritual awakening journey who is transitioning from third dimensional living to fifth dimensional being. I believe magic exists everywhere, and it's about shifting your perspective to see it all around you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so honored you're here, especially for this episode. This is going to be a pretty vulnerable one. I don't typically share the things or the cycles that I'm working through as I'm working through them because they are really vulnerable and I am very triggered. And the last year, actually, the cycles that have been breaking have been more subtle. In the past, for example, maybe I got in a fight with a family member or a friend, or I didn't get the job I wanted, or, a flight got canceled as I was like on my way to the airport, all these things that could like make me feel like things aren't going my way or things are hard, right? Lately, though, those like big things haven't really been happening for me. It's been like more subtle changes. And I'm in a year 9 numerology. And so I just wanted to kind of share my experiences. As many of you know, my personal Instagram got hacked this morning and I connected with the Akashic records. And I'm going to go through everything that I kind of went through today and the last few weeks. But what really wanted to come through was an email and this podcast. So I'm here and I'm going to share what came up, what happened, and how I moved through it in case this can help support someone else along their journey. Because each lesson, each activation helped me step closer to the truth of who I am as a soul, as a multidimensional being. And I'm coming not from a place of having it all figured out already, but from a place of being in it with my heart open, sharing the medicine of my own unfolding in case this serves your path as well. So it all started with 2 weeks ago. I gave a beautiful client a Reiki healing, and with that comes an Akashic reading, typically with the chakras. She asked for my permission in order to post my this session on her Instagram, and I gave her permission. And she posted the whole series as a couple stories. And she has over 1 million followers on Instagram. So the next morning when I woke up and I saw that I was tagged and that I saw the posts, my immediate response was fear. And my immediate response was to go into meditation, protect the energy of my business, protect myself, protect my home, and do all these protections, calling in the archangels and protecting myself. And so I realized I had done that. And so I brought curiosity to why that was happening. I was like, why did I just do that? That's obviously I'm scared about something. What is it? What am I afraid of? And so I tracked it and I, sat in stillness for a couple moments, and I was scared of something negative, like a negative entity or being attaching to it and taking its power or something like that. And so I tracked it even further, and it was a fear of being persecuted for my beliefs. And how that was translating was a fear of being seen, especially on the online space. And so this felt really familiar. This felt like something I've been working through the last few years, but felt at like a deeper level. And for a lot of you who've been following me for some time, you know that the first 6 to 8 months that I ever entered the records, I really went through a rigorous personal journey and training in which I went to past lives like every other day for 30 minutes and healed all the karma that I felt was ready to be released, or that the divine showed me was ready to be released. And how I did that was through meditation. I went through the Akashic records and I would just ask, in what lifetime have I blocked my crown chakra? In what lifetime have I blocked my third eye? In what lifetime have I blocked my throat chakra? And every day I would ask a different chakra, and every day a different past life would come up. And then every day we would bring in that divine light, heal that karma in all dimensions, times, realms, and spaces. And then I would come back feeling lighter and feeling like I have more of my power back. And so this was my my journey back in 2022, when I was opening the records. And so my first instinct when I went into the records, I thought they would just take me to another past life in which I had this like fear of being persecuted or, fear of being seen, or something had happened karmically that I was holding on to this wounding, right? Which is typically or technically the witch wound. And which we talked about in a couple episodes prior with Bronte. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. And so I went into the records and I sat in meditation and I called upon my guides and I questioned and brought curiosity to the sphere that I had uncovered. And I thought I would go into a past life, but instead they showed me my soul's blueprint. And I'm very clairvoyant, so they showed me an image. And typically, now that I've been communicating with them over time, so many years, I know how to interpret the image that they're showing me, and I get like a deep knowing of what it is and what I need to do to move through it. And so the image they showed me was I was standing in a door frame with the door completely open. And one side of the door, I was standing in the shadows, and on the other side of the door was in the complete spotlight. And I was choosing to stand in the shadows. And what I realized was that the door was completely open, and I had already healed all karma around this wounding, and I had already healed whatever needed to be worked through in this lifetime. Mentally, any narratives in the logical mind, consciously, right? And so I realized it was a choice. I was choosing to not be seen. I was fearing of stepping into the spotlight and being seen for who I really am, and really stepping into that level of vulnerability that I know I have access to. And so it was really beautiful because with guidance from my team, I chose to step into the light, and this is all energetically, right? But I'm consciously doing it. This is a part of my conscious state of being that was the last step of this like whole process that needed to come into fruition. My soul wanted to be seen, and so I was allowing myself to do that. 1 week later, I was out to dinner with some of my closest girlfriends, and I have been getting downloads and breadcrumbs of my soul babies. I've been having, soul baby connections for maybe the last 2 years now, but they've been coming in pretty strong this year, and that makes sense. I'm in my engagement portal, and I'm going to get married later this year. So, in terms of just, I'm on that track. So, I've been feeling that energy coming through of possibly having kids, possibly it being next year. And the episode next week is with Whitley Rose, and she's this beautiful Akashic Records tarot witch who actually lives in Hawaii and is having her second baby. She's pregnant now, and she's decided to not take the allopathic route this time. She's not getting any like checkups, and she's really communicating with her intuition, trusting herself, trusting her body, and trusting the connection she has with her soul baby that's within her vessel, her physical vessel now. And I think there's a reason why she came into my awareness in the time that she did, and the time that we recorded, maybe a month ago. And there's been these breadcrumbs, and I've been getting dreams and intuitive, feelings that I'm going to, if I do have children, it is going to be more non-traditional. And this is something that I have come into terms with as my belief system. And so when I went to dinner with my friends, this came up, and I expressed, this belief, and I was received with a lot of heart-centered questioning, a lot of some support, and then some fear-based, still heart-centered, but projections. It was very triggering in that moment because I felt like no one trusted or could hold space for what I was speaking into existence, which felt so authentically true to me in that moment. But in that moment, I realized, let me bring curiosity from what all these beautiful souls are telling me, because they are my best friends. And so when I moved into the heart space and brought curiosity to what they were saying, I noticed that most of the things they were saying were really heart centered. But some of the things were just projections, and wanted to make sure I was safe with this belief. And so with that curiosity, I was able to move through that experience, but I came home still feeling a little unsettled. And so I slept on it. And the next morning, I realized I was persecuted again for my beliefs and by the people I love the most. And so I really believed that this everything is, so divinely guided, and every experience is placed in front of us, and we get to choose how we want to move through it. And just, for reference, like, these are some of my best friends and I love them, and that I have nothing against them or whatever happened. I don't view them any differently. This is all about me, right? I'm taking personal responsibility for how I felt, not anything that they said, because I know it was heart-centered. And so I was like, well, I'm still triggered. I feel unsettled about what had happened last night and how my belief was received. And I've had a couple friends and acquaintances who've actually had very hard births uh, and stillborns. And so I was sitting with the energy of surrendering to God and whatever, God consciousness was calling forward to me, because I know that's how my intuition works. I get breadcrumbs of things that are meant to integrate. And so when it does come into fruition, I feel safe and I feel expansive in that space. And so I felt that question, God consciousness, divine, that question come in. Like, what if you have a stillborn? Will you blame yourself or trust yourself enough to go through a non-allopathic way, a more holistic way of pregnancy? And then what if you do birth a stillborn? Is that something that you can handle? Is that the path that you want? And this is how I know how far I've come, because I sat with that energy and I told God, I surrender to whatever experience or lesson that is meant for me in this lifetime. I have enough strength, courage, and love from within myself and from the universe and, the seen and the unseen world, that I know whatever is placed in front of me is meant for me and I will be able to move through it. And it's not that I seek challenges. It's not like I want something bad to happen, but if there's anyone who can handle it, it's me. And so I really surrendered in that moment. I don't even know if this is something I'm going to do, right? Like, this is just a little breadcrumb that came through and I'm exploring it, right? I'm bringing curiosity to it. Who knows? Maybe I will go still make a path with an OBGYN and I still have a path with a doctor and just have options. There's so many things that could happen. But in that moment, I trusted and I surrendered in that moment and I felt resolved and I felt complete. Okay, so now 1 week later, it's this morning and I wake up to my phone and I did check my emails straight away, and I got several notifications of several of my personal Instagrams being hacked. And so I logged on and I was unable to access anything. They changed the email, they changed the phone number. And so they pretty much created new emails and replicated identically. So it seemed like it was coming to me. And right away, when I did that in the morning, I got a spam text saying, "Oh, this is Instagram. Please send us the code that's coming for you," which I knew that was a spam as well. So I didn't go through with that. And so I had no access to it. I felt a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, rage, grief. I felt violated. And so there was a lot of things coming up for me in that moment that I felt like I couldn't control. And how I chose to move through it was, there were several steps. So the first one I did was I sat with whatever energy was present in that moment. And I just kind of sat with and for me, it was like a lot of contraction in my chest and like solar plexus area. I felt a lot of heaviness. And so I sat with it. I cried a little bit and I realized that I was scared that someone took away my identity. Someone took away a part of me that I was showing the world, and I was scared that they took a part of who I was. And so that's what I recognized the fears to be. And so once I understood what that root cause fear was, right? It's that stems again, the root cause of fear of being seen. I think it stems from all of that, but a part of who I was, my identity was taken from me, is how I felt. And so I ended up just being like, my body started, once I discovered that, it was feeling really like just really heavy. The emotions were coming through. I felt the rage in my body. And so I laid in my bed and I just cried for 10 minutes and I just held myself like with my hands, like hugged myself and like just self-soothed. And it was really beautiful because I haven't done that in a really long time. I haven't felt so triggered or hurt in a really long time. And so I just allowed all those energies to be there, and I cried. And then once I started kind of letting up, I just had my face in the pillow, guys. It was it wasn't fun. It wasn't comfortable. But as I was doing that, I welcomed the emotions that were coming. I didn't resist them. I allowed myself to sit in that discomfort, and I said, "Body, you are so wise. Every emotion or energy that's coming forward, I know it's for my highest good, and I surrender to you. I allow you to be here, and I just bring you love and compassion." And so once the energy, I was almost cried out, and I the energy was like moving, and I felt a little lighter. I felt like this huge release. After you cry, they say your energy lifts like so much compared to like when you're about to start crying. There's this like beautiful energetic release, and physically you feel it somatically. And so I sat with my heart, and then I went into the Akashic records. So I started bringing in divine light into my body, into the places that needed it. And I brought forward the energy of my personal Instagram, and I saw my cord to it as well as several other energetic cords to it. And so I did a lot of, some questioning, some curiosity questioning, and really finding out um, why this was happening. And so a couple things that came through was that I am trying to use the lens of a platform of energy that isn't aligned with my heart, and I'm trying to be viewed in that way. And so, or through that lens. And it's so interesting because yesterday, before this happened, I actually thought about deleting my personal Instagram. And I was actually feeling like it's not really aligned with me anymore. It is a show of all the places I've been and the things I'm doing, but the heart of what I really am at my essence, and who the truth of who I am and my soul is actually in my business Instagram, which is the one you guys know. I am Dani Margot, because I do try to speak vulnerably, and I do try to really be heart-centered, and I do a lot of protections. I just did it 2 weeks ago, and I did the 2-step authentication on that account specifically so that no one can touch it. And so it's really interesting that I got that intuitive hit yesterday, and then the universe today was like, let's just do it for you. Let's just take it away from you and see how it is. It's not that I'm not who I am, who I show online, but it's I am who I am when I'm by myself. And that no one can take who I am. I am who I am. And those who are needing to find me and see me will find me and see me. And so it was a beautiful cord cutting energetic release. I buried energetically my personal account, cut all the cords for me and the hacker, as well as the other account that I had, my Wine Body Spirit account, which I'm not as sad, but still it was a part of me. And then I got to the energy of the hacker, and I felt called right away to offer their soul, their energy, compassion. And right away, I was like, I'm not ready to forgive them. And they're like, that's because you need to forgive yourself first. Then I started crying. And then I realized there was a couple self-forgivenesses I needed to do. Like, I think one of them was I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding that a part of me is in this Instagram. The truth is, I hold all the parts of me, and no one can take that away from me. And so it was a beautiful coming back to myself, and I came back to my love and my heart centered space and the frequency of my soul, which is love. And so once I was able to resource back to love, I was able to offer love to the hacker and give them that, and then, release all cords, attachments to them. And then something really cool. So I've been moving through the day. I felt fine. I had still some heaviness in the chest, but I wasn't holding that energy with me through the day. I had a reading. It was done. I had healed it. There's, now I was allowing my body to integrate the energy that I had already consciously and subconsciously uncovered. And so just allowing my body to move through that energy, even though there was still some residual energy holding within my body. So I felt really called to go on a little walk. And so as I was walking, the trees started talking to me, and they were like, allow us to carry your burden. And it was so sweet. So I went up to the first tree, and I put my hand on their bark, and I was like, can I stand in your auric field? And they said yes. And then I was like, are you open to sharing this burden with me? The fear of being seen. And they're like, yes. And instantaneously, I started feeling better. And then I said, thank you. And then I moved to the next tree. That one I don't think wanted to support me, which is fine. It's doing its own support on the house that it was with in front of. And then I went to like, there was like maybe 5 other trees that wanted to support me. And by the end of the walk, all the energy had moved through me, and I feel lighter and I feel peaceful, and I felt just grateful for who I am, how I'm able to move through this, and the experiences and the lessons that are going through in my life, because I know they are meant to bring me back to my soul, back to my mission, which is sharing light to the world, helping support other light workers, finding who they are at a soul level, helping them find who they are beyond the third dimensional space, and helping them feel loved enough, worthy of all the things that they desire, and be able to see life consciously from a higher state. Because when you're in it, you can really feel like things are happening to you instead of for you. And that curiosity that I have really empowers me to see the lessons and the experiences that I'm meant to learn from, which helps support me in growing, expanding my consciousness, feeling lighter and more positive, changing my perspective, and just really being able to quantum leap to the next level. And I've been getting such good feedback after I shared that Instagram post about kind of my story back in 2020, where I had a one-way ticket to Bilbao, Spain, and I was in a 4-year relationship, and my boyfriend at the time broke up with me during the pandemic because everything was canceled. My flight was canceled. And I remember surrendering to several things, of like getting the house, negotiating the house across the street that fell into place so much in my, like so easily in my lap. And I remember moving in, finally having my own space, and I surrendered to the universe. And I remember thinking it's going to be years until I meet someone, and I'm okay with that. And then a week later, Daniel came into my life. And so it's just been this beautiful journey. And it got reflected back to me, but from one of my clients, that how quickly I've grown and moved. Like, I only started learning Reiki. I got my Reiki master in 2022 early, and I started reading the records in 2022. So it's been less than 3 years, and I'm going to start teaching the Akashic records next 2 months, in 2 months. That's downloading through, and I'm teaching Reiki right now. And so I'm just so grateful that I'm able to move through these experiences with ease and flow. And it doesn't mean I know I've figured it out, and it still hurts that I don't have my personal Instagram, but I'm not here to play small. I'm here to show everyone who I am and the light I have and the heart-centered love that I'm here to share the world. And so just know you are not here to play small. You are here to be seen. You are here to be loved, and you are here to be a vessel of light. And if you are moving through something right now, you are not alone. Reach out. Let me walk with you, support you, talk to you, hold space for you to come back home to your heart. And I do hold, readings, soul connection journeys, as well as divine coaching containers where I integrate Akashic guidance with somatic resourcing and nervous system regulation. I think all these resources I have learned throughout the years, I've been able to combine in addition to Reiki energy and energy healing, and galactic and cosmic frequency light language, channeling, like all the beautiful things in order to support you as a multidimensional being. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for witnessing me. I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you. Until next time, keep choosing love and keep choosing you. If you enjoyed, these podcasts, I would really, really appreciate the support by leaving a comment or a 5-star review, whether you're listening to me on Apple or Spotify. I'm so grateful for every single one of you, and sending you with oceans of love.